All right, welcome back to the Netman podcast, everybody. This is episode 16, and we have an incredibly special guest tonight. One of the legends of the sport, Bass Fishing Hall of Famer, 16-time Bassmaster Classic, 4 FLW championship appearances, 60 top 10 finishes, 9 first place with Bassmaster, 20-year host of One More Cast. I mean, the list goes on and on. Tarpon fishing enthusiast, alligator hunter. I mean, this is just an incredible guy. Opportunity to have him on the show. I mean, we are just truly thankful for you, Shaw, for just taking the time out of your day and just joining us. So, Shaw Grigsby, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me on.
absolutely.
Uh,
On top of all that, Aaron, you forgot he's just a good old boy too, and
Yeah,
that's what I love about him.
that's the big thing. Yeah.
just a hardworking good old boy.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Again, thanks. Yeah, Shaw probably doesn't like being flattered with all those big stats, but here we are. We want to go back when you was catching them with a cane pole and tell us how you got into it and where it all started, Shaw.
Okay.
How
Yeah,
did it all begin?
so my dad, my mom, my family, we camped and fished and hunted. That's what we did. Our vacations were hunting, fishing, or camping, and so it was outdoors. So raised in an outdoor family, so it you know natural for me to fish and hunt and do all those things. Well, in eighth grade, a kid that I knew in Boy Scouts moved over to my school, so he was a new kid in school, and he and I hit it off. Well, I'd known him from Boy Scouts, so I was the only guy that he knew over there, and so we hit it off. And he was really into bass fishing, where I was just into fishing and hunting and being outdoors. And so he got me focused on bass fishing, and then he invited me to fish a tournament, and one thing led to another, and here I am. So that's the short version of how it happened. And I used to read Bassmaster magazine, and it was just so cool to see guys out there fishing and competing, and so it was neat to kind of aspire to do that, and then have it all come around and happen.
So, not I don't know how to ask this. So, when you first started getting into tournament fishing and you started getting serious about it, like who who was on top of the game at that point? Like who was your idol? Kind of, who'd you aspire to be in the tournament game?
Well, I think the guys that I really admired, like Rick Clunn, Denny Brower, and Denny was at the time more in the starting part, but Roland and Rick Clunn were doing very well, and Roland won 3 in a row one time, and when you win 3 in a row, you realize that luck plays very little part in it. You have to be really good, and so that inspired me. That to know that a lot of hard work could help, and you could overcome a lot of the obstacles, and hopefully do well. Um, so I'd have to say Roland was part of it, and then it goes to of course Rick, who was amazing, just an amazing angler, probably the single best bass angler at the time. Kevin's done more in tournaments and wins and stuff like that, but I still think Rick may have been the best pure bass fisherman that there was, given the technology and given what all we had going on. where Roland was probably the best angler we had. I fished with Roland. I got to sit in a boat one time fly fishing for tarpon, and he's as amazing as a tarpon angler as he is as a crappie angler, as he is as a bass angler, as he is as a redfish angler. I mean, he's just a great angler. He's kind of like me. We love fishing. We love being outdoors. We love fishing. He's still out there like every day, fishing
Yeah.
today. And that's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
me, I take a lot of days off, but most of my days are used for gator grabbing. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah. We're going to definitely get into that. I wanted to, not to keep hitting the rewind button on you here, but I want to personally and have our listeners kind of know, like, uh, obviously you got into fishing tournaments, and then we just start talking big time pros there. But like, I want to know that transition, what it was like back in the day. Did you take a huge risk? Did you just slowly get on a hot run? Was there a stretch of tournaments that just where you're like, I can't turn back now? Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, no, they're great questions. So I fished tournaments from about 74. I fished one when I was 16 in 72. And then from 74, I fished a lot. And then I didn't go pro until 84. So I spent 10 years banging around local and regional tournaments and, kept getting a little better and a little better. And so, that opened up the door. I made enough money in local and regional tournaments where I said, "Hey, I think I had $8,000 saved up." And I told my wife I got married in 80, so this was 84. And I said, "I really think I need to try this. I need to, take the big leap and see what I can do." And so, I think I made that decision early 84. So I started fishing all the tournaments of BASS and everything as of March of 84, I believe is when it was. I remember doing a resume in 84 for iCaster, which was back then AFMA, and I think that's in July when we had it. And I had fished 34 tournaments and made a check in 32 of them. And the
Nice.
two tournaments that I didn't make a check in were both BASS tournaments that I had just stepped out saying I'm going to be a professional. So you sit back and you go, yeah, maybe I'm not making the right choice, that I'm really getting my butt kicked. And so that was the 84-85 season. Actually, I ended the 83-84 season. So that was the March and those two BASS tournaments, maybe March and April or whatever. And then they ended. And the Classic was in the summertime. And then we started the 84-85 season because it always went, over a span of a fall and a spring. And then we'd have the Classic in the summer. So the fall of 84, we started our new one in September. Well, my wife got pregnant with our first kid, and she told me on the night that I was leading the Red Man All American in Florida, and I ended up winning that. It's November 1st or 2nd, like that, in Toho. I ended up winning that and got a check for $100,000. So that kind of bankrolled me for a few seasons.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that was the first $100,000 check that was in fishing. And so that was special. And
Absolutely.
that helped me stay on tour because I got my butt kicked the 84-85 season. So not only did I get my butt kicked the end of the 84 season, but then the 84-85 season, I got it kicked again. And I'm like, wow, But the next season, which was the 85-86, I made the Bassmasters Classic up in Chattanooga. It was a struggle, and you're just working so hard, and so I made the Classic, and then I'm thinking, well, everything's going to fall into place, and of course, it doesn't. You have to keep working and keep doing it and keep doing it, and over time things fall in place. So, but yeah, it was a struggle, and so but I did have a heck of a bankroll that started me off there for the Red Man All American,
Sure.
which was you know uh, now Major League Fishing, they bought Operation Bass, which was the Red Man All American. They had that circuit.
Well, and that was 100 grand back in 1984.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a massive difference than
100
winning
grand
the
right
toss and
now.
100 grand now.
Yeah, it was.
Um, and so, what like what was going through your wife's head at that time? Like, my husband's pursuing a career in professional bass fishing.
I,
On paper, he's
she.
not that good. Like, I'm pregnant. I've got bills to pay. Like, what was that? What's that pressure like for
she,
you?
she supported me wholeheartedly. She's just wonderful. I mean, yeah, she had faith in me, and in fact, when I got married in '80, so remember I didn't turn pro till '84.
Sure.
On the inside of my wedding band is CABO, and I said, Cabo, are we going to Mexico or something? And she said, no, think about it. Well, I did, and I'm still dumb, so I didn't get figured out. She said, it's catch a big one. So she knew I was
Nice.
really into fishing, and that was part of our life. So she definitely was behind me 100%. Now, my dad was a different story. So my dad was a college professor at University of Florida here in Gainesville, and he was one of those guys that I would go to college, and then I'd go for the winter and or the whatever it was, fall and winter quarters. I think we were quarters back then, and system, and then we'd come up to Springs quarter, and I couldn't do it. I had to go fishing, and it was I'd drop out, and Dad was all mad at me, and I'd go fishing. It was beautiful weather, and then he told me, he said, son, if you'd ever put as much time into work as you do into fishing, you'd make a million. And then he was standing by my side when I won that 100 grand.
Nice.
He had this grin. So as a college professor, I think the most he may have ever made was about 38 grand back then in those days. And I just knocked out $100,000. He was pretty proud. He traveled with me for quite a few years on the circuit, on the BASS circuit, helped out, helped Dewey, helped, Ray Scott. I mean, he was just a fixture. And that was really special, really
So,
special.
so it sounds like you guys probably had some tough conversations and or arguments, huh? Like,
My dad and I definitely did. We had a point there where really fell apart,
really,
and fractured our relationship. But I thank Jesus Christ that we were able to travel together and repair
yeah,
that relationship and become father and son and get back to loving each other, which is
yeah,
what we should always do.
for sure. Well, sometimes our stubbornness gets the best of
Yeah.
us, unfortunately. But yeah, you guys grew through that. Sounds like, and that's awesome. I wanted to ask you real quick, Shaw, what did you do to make ends meet while you were kind of coming up through? Were you a tradesman, or did you just do whatever
No,
you
so
could?
my dad actually had invested money in a biological pest control business, so bugs that eat other bugs. So, very environmental, safety stuff and all this, because you're not using chemicals, you're using bugs. And so the guy that he had invested his money with and all basically screwed it up and took the money, and so dad took early retirement from the university and started running this business, and I dropped out of university and worked with him, and that's where the real clashes came. And and then so we did that for quite a while, from about 70, maybe 77, 78, somewhere in there, all the way through. And it sustained our family, my sister and myself and my parents, and then we had my buddy that was working there. It sustained him. So it was a pretty nice little business that we could make a little bit of money and stay and keep going. Well, and then I was fishing a lot, and so it was nice to win that big one, and then all those problems that we had running that business together, we sold it, and then Dad just went with me and fished, and it
Awesome.
was it was neat. Yeah, that was really special.
So, had you not won that tournament, like, do you think you'd have the career or anything close to what you have been
Have
able to
no
accomplish?
idea, no idea. You really don't know with twists and turns in life. So, I mean, I remember driving down a road going to work one day and almost getting head on and dying. You like so you know there are all these little points in life that you make it through, and things happen, and you try to understand them, and after the fact you kind of understand them. uh, as it's going on, you're like, wow, that's crazy, But like I said, I have huge faith in Jesus Christ, and I see His hand on my life all through my life, even when I didn't know Him at all. He knew me, and so um, it was one of those things that always He'd had His hand in my life, and then He gave me this platform. And so that's one of the things that I do. And I've got a lot of Jesus moments in my life, but that's one of the things I do is go talk at churches, wild game banquets, and things like that. And and it's really special. We do a deal which is really fun. We do a deal at our Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Invitationals that we fish. Um, we do a deal on Thursday night, our off night, and we go to a church, and there's about 6, 7, 8 of us, and we open it up for questions. Everybody comes in, and they just can ask us any questions we want. They want about whether career, whether it's about family, about anything, and then so we answer all those questions, and then there are about 4 of us will give testimonies, and we set that seed and plant that seed to hopefully have a person take the next step and accept Jesus Christ, because that truly is the single most important thing in life. There's nothing greater. Your wife, your kids, your career, your things that you do, and things that they don't mean anything. They're just here. What's the most important thing is that relationship with Jesus Christ, and helping prosper the kingdom of God.
So,
Awesome.
when you guys do the Thursday night deal, is it just kind of like one of the local churches that's kind
Yes,
of wherever the
they'll
tournament's
host
going to
us.
be?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I'm telling you, it is so fun, and it's just a blessing. And you realize that when you're sharing your story, and another guy's sharing his story, and another guy's sharing their story, and you realize how awesome, how big our God is. He's just amazing. And you realize all these little things that happened in life that got you to where you are. And one of them was winning that tournament, and so um, yeah, it's so that happened. Get this, that happened. That tournament happened in '84, November of '84. I didn't accept Jesus Christ till January 22nd of 1990. So that was a long time before, and He's still working with me, and He's
Yeah.
still working with me today, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
So,
cool, man.
Shaw, one of the things that I appreciate most about you is uh, I had the opportunity to meet you a couple years ago working a Blue Rock booth, and um, is many accolades and everything that you've just been blessed with. Uh, you're just a normal dude. You're
thank
just
you,
just a regular guy that just loves people and talking to people, and you don't carry that. I don't want to. I don't know what to call it, but you just don't have that chip on your shoulder like you can come across with guys that have your level of achievement and success. So,
yeah. Well, thank
um,
you. I
so
you
that's
know
super cool.
I'm doing this Gator stuff, and my buddy, who's the trapper, and we have a great time. But he's always going, you know who this is? Are you a bass fisherman? And I'm like, dude, come
You just love that, I
on. I
Yeah,
just I'm like, you really want to be you. That's it. You want to
yeah.
be you, and so. Uh, bass fishing has been very good to me, and tournaments and television and all that. And but I can tell you, Jesus Christ has been much more important to me than any of that. And so, that's why I do what I do.
I gotta ask you, Shaw, as kind and humble as you've always been, uh, just knowing you and seeing you when I get to see you, uh, does that do you flip a switch on the water? Have you ever gotten heated, or I mean,
Oh,
does
so I
d-
got my brand new Triton 21 XP. I'm fishing the tournament last week in Pickwick, right? And I'm sneaking through this dock, and I'll be daggum big gust of wind, and it pushes me in it, and it just tears my power pole. I mean, just hits it, and I'm like, "Are you?" And yeah, I lost it. I turned into a little Ike and Ellie. I was like, hey, my brand new boat, and it's like, and I said, that was really stupid. I mean, that's what I did. I like, that was really stupid. But yeah, I did. I
uh,
like, oh my goodness, you wouldn't have want to been on the receiving end of that for a few seconds.
yeah, that's
I mean,
funny.
you try to keep your boat so, and it didn't do anything. I got a minor little scratch on my power pole, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do way worse than that in the lifetime of that boat. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah,
Got
I
it.
lose it every now and then. I am human.
Yeah.
I've never got to see it, and I don't want to see it. I figured I figured all the tournament. I mean, you got to have a competitive spirit in you, so
Yeah,
competitiveness can.
I don't flip that switch, you know, and go nuts. I don't break rods. I might
Right.
do one of these slap things, but I lost a good one, and like really, and like I can't believe it, but there really isn't. What you see is what you get. That's me, but
Yeah.
um, you can poke the bear a little bit, and something stupid like that fire me off. I try not to ever let that happen, but
Yeah.
occasionally it'll just light you up.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always seems to be something, isn't there?
yeah, yeah.
Um, what can you give us one of your biggest successes in fishing and in life? Two separate questions.
Two separate questions. So I guess the biggest honor I've had. I've won. I don't know if y'all can see this. We'll see up on the wall right there that way. So I got
Mhm.
the All American. Let me put my finger up
Nice.
there,
There we
and
go.
some wins. Those are bass wins, and I got another one up here. Top or the Elite Series win up there. So I have those are accolades, and and they're really cool and all that. Um, you know, and there's a few of them, but when it comes down to it, probably the thing that's the coolest is to be Bass Fishing Hall of Famer. That's really cool. That's kind of a lifetime deal, and they put your picture in Wonders of Wildlife there in Springfield, Missouri, and that's probably an accomplishment in life, but truly. In career wise, but truly in life wise, the biggest accomplishment is accepting I'm a sinner and accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior, Lord and Savior. That's the biggest thing. And I'm harping on this, and I don't mean to. It's a
No,
podcast,
that's
but
all good, man.
I'm just telling you that if there's one person that's listening to this thing, one person um, goes and looks into the Bible and goes and accepts Jesus Christ, then that makes a huge difference in the world. So I can tell you we're living in some tough times, real tough times right now throughout the world, and And I truly thought we were going to see the rapture pretty quick. I said, man, we're going. I said, I'm ready. Let's go. And then Trump got elected, and I like, with that gummit, it's going to be a while longer now. And so anyway, so it's one of those things where I'm ready, and I hope everybody else is, because if you ever read Revelations, oh my goodness, the description in Revelations of what hell is, and you don't want that to happen to your worst enemy. You truly don't. And when I really started studying Revelations, and that's the hardest part of the Bible. I mean, I read the Bible and read the Bible, and I never read Revelation because I didn't understand it. And so I got this little study deal, and went through a 50, it was on YouTube, 15 course deal on Revelations, and it was phenomenal, and then teaching me about what these things meant and all this stuff. But then you realize that it breaks your heart for somebody to go through life and not know the truth, because the he's a liar, deceitful, and he's a master at it. And everybody tells you that it isn't real, that these are just stories from the Bible. And yet there's never been a single thing archaeologically that has proved the Bible wrong. It's all proved it right. I mean, they find stuff almost daily that's showing the Bible's the truth of the history of the Bible. And then you've got the apostles that here they saw Jesus come back to life after saw him resurrected body. In fact, Thomas had to put his fingers in the hole in his side, just because he didn't believe it was Jesus. And they saw him, and they could not deny him after that. And all 12 of his disciples died horribly from, being persecuted. They would not deny him. They said, no, you're going to kill me, but I know where I'm going, and I know what I'm doing. I saw it. I know what's there. So you can't, there's just so much evidence, and it takes so much. I mean, you just have to believe in hocus pocus or something to believe that he didn't exist and that these are stories, because these are just so true. And then, gosh, I didn't mean for this, dude. I didn't mean to
No,
be
man.
preaching.
Hey,
Okay, oh yeah, but anyway.
uh,
But here's the deal. So he touches me personally, and when I say personally, I mean like touches you, right? And things happen in my life. One was a triple bypass. I talk about this in my church talk, so any of you all can look that up. Shaw Grigsby Church, whatever. You'll probably hear me talk about that one. And it took like 5 different things to happen for them to find that I was 100% blocked in my right coronary artery, 100% blocked my left, your
wow.
widowmaker, and 65 to 70% blocked on the circumflex around the back. And I'm going strong. I'm like, come on, let's go. And I mean, I was one big fish from dropping dead, one exciting something, and I'm dropping dead at 48 years old, be a heart attack done, right? And the stories on there, God sent this angel, which is what I call him, an angel to the side of my boat to have all these things happen. That they found it in a checkup. And so once you realize, you go, oh my gosh, well, this had to happen to have this happen to have this happen to have this, for them to find this. You go, he's got me. And so and then over and over things like that happen. And I mean, my dad, he got cancer, got lung cancer, and he's a college professor, I told you, and he read a book on the power of prayer. So it was it's a study done in the 50s where they took 3 different groups of people and they prayed for them. One group of people didn't believe in God, didn't believe in anything. No, they were non-believers, and they prayed for them. Another group were kind of lukewarm, kind of maybe go to church once a year, who knows. And the final group were big Christians, that really believers. They prayed for all 3 groups, and guess what happened? They found out that all 3 groups gained benefit from the prayer. And you're like, so my dad, college professor, science, here it is. So he had accepted Jesus Christ, and he came to a focus meeting, fellowship of Christian anglers, and he said, listen, I got cancer. They say I'm going to be dead here in a couple months, and it's lung cancer, and I just wanted y'all to pray for me, and I'm donating this book, because it's a study and it's really cool. So we all laid hands on him and prayed, and 3 years later I filmed with him to first season of One More Cast.
Awesome.
Really special.
Yeah, that is.
So, prayer is us talking to God. The Bible is God talking to us. That's
Right.
pretty much it.
Yeah. No, man, I appreciate your passion for it, and there's never a need to apologize for speaking on your passion, especially in that manner. And honestly, dude, the world needs to hear it now more than
Yes.
ever. So no apology needed. No apology needed.
Thank you. I do, because I know people tune in and they want to talk about fishing or hear about
Yeah, we'll
fishing
get
and
there
all this
though.
kind of
Yeah, we'll get
stuff.
to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
No, and it's cool how you've kind of used your platform and where God's put you to just kind of carry that torch and use it to spread the light. And so um, this is just another one of those platforms and the opportunities for you to go ahead and do that. So
Yeah. Well,
um,
I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity.
yeah. Um, so one more cast, since you just brought that up. Tell us kind of how the tournament side and the TV side and maybe that juggle of life, like
That was a
kind of,
tough one. No,
yeah.
that was a tough one. So, I'd always thought about doing it, and I did little shows with other hosts and stuff, and I did a stretch with I'm trying to remember the name of it. Sportsman's Challenge was one that had Doug Hannon and Lonnie Stanley, a couple guys on it. They had me do a stretch of shows with them, and it was really cool. So I traveled around, and guy asked you to do the show, and you're like, cool, yeah, I'll do it. And but then we were doing these bass and golf and bass and race things at Disney, which were really cool. They were just event television, and the producer of the event said, "Hey, would you like to do a series? Just a fishing show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we did, and it made a pretty good long run of fishing show. It definitely hurt my tournaments because you're concentrating on the television aspects, and your focus isn't 100% on tournaments. So there was a time there when I was a little shaky on my stuff with tournaments, but it was awesome to do it. I met great people, got to go to some cool places and do some fun stuff, and so yeah, I enjoyed it. So yeah, that was
I
good times. But how I don't know how I did it, because I look back on it. How do you have time to do that and tournament fish? I'd go fish a tournament, and then I'd come home and I'd go film for 2 or 3 days, and then I'd come back and go do another tournament, and then I might go off and fish 2 or 3 tournaments, and then come back and film for a month. And I mean, it was just, it was crazy. The time it took was immense. So
yeah.
great undertaking. So my hat's off to those guys that do that now, because it's not the easiest thing in the world, that's for sure.
And it wasn't all bass, was it? If I remember
No,
right.
no, when we started, I wanted to do saltwater, freshwater.
Okay.
And so we actually did a segmented show the first season or so, but that was so much work. We did a saltwater and freshwater, and then as we went down, we started doing like 6 and 7. Do 13 shows a year, and we do 6 saltwater, 6 freshwater, and then we ended up doing 5 and 8. So we do 5 freshwater or 5 saltwater and 8 freshwater,
Oh man,
and so
that's a
we
lot.
kind of mixed it up, but we definitely did. I mean, I love saltwater. I love my saltwater. I love, tuna and tarpon and redfish and snook, and I just love fishing. I love crappie fishing. I mean, you're not gonna believe this. So we did this television show for, I don't know, some 20 years, and in doing that show, my highest rated shows every year. In fact, we had some. This was back when we were on TNN, the Nashville network, which turned into Spike, and they threw all the outdoor program off. But anyway, on TNN, our highest rated shows, guess what they were? Come on, guess.
Tarpon.
Bonefish.
Catfish.
Catfish.
What?
No way.
100%. Every time we'd have a million plus viewers on a Saturday show of catfishing, and I'm like, but it's fun and they're delicious, and people
Yeah.
wanted to know how to catch them, so they had fish to eat. You know,
Everybody loves catfishing, man, for
isn't that
sure.
cool? I just
Yeah.
thought it was neat as could be. So yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
catfishermen, keep it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember, man, me and Dad, we loved your show, and that's what I was going to mention. I thought it was on TNN Outdoors, but it's dude, it's cool. It's cool to know you now, like just growing up watching you, and I mean, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
thanks.
don't know. Yeah,
That was fun time. Fun time.
yeah.
Yeah, I fished a little club derby today, and came home and took a nap, and now we're recording a podcast, and like multiply that times like 1,000, and that's what your life has
Yeah,
been, right?
I
Like,
don't
Yeah,
know.
pretty much.
Yeah, I
like
don't know how they do it.
I'm pooped. I can't imagine like how you did it.
Yeah, I,
You
I,
know?
I truly don't. I mean, it's when I quit doing the show, I I was now fishing major league fishing and doing this and that, and I'm like, how on earth did I do this? I mean, I come home and you just pack up everything, and you have to set up where your shoot's going to be. You have to get all the housing, all the stuff, all the little tidbits together, and I don't know how I did it. I don't know how we did have a wonderful lady that helped out for a lot of the stuff, but just getting all the little details was a tough deal. And then traveling and going and doing it, and some days you didn't catch them. You worked really hard. I remember one show I was telling the guys today on the boat that we filmed a show, and I think I did it with Mark Davis at Tunica, Mississippi. And I think in 2 days at Tunica, we had, I'm thinking we had 6 or 7 bites, okay, in 2 days. That's all. We missed one bite, okay, one bite we just missed. The other ones we caught, and all of them were like 4 pounders or better. They were just good ones, but it makes a great show. But it took 2 days to get 6 or 7 bites. I mean, it was like,
Mm.
and another one we did, we went down to do a sailfish show, and the guy told me, he said, man, plan on 5 days. And I'm like, 5 days? I mean, we get a show in it. We usually get a show because we did a lot of underwater. So it usually took us 2 days to get a show. And so he goes, yeah, plan on 5 days. Well, he was right. The first day it blew 40 and nobody left the dock. The second day it blew like 30 and a few boats left, but we took our boat out just to take pictures of it disappearing. You'll see those big when you go out the jetties, you go out these passes, and it's so rough. It was so rough, and we made sure we took everybody out of the boat, and it was just the captain and myself. Because if we were going down, it just wanted to be us. We didn't want to hurt anybody else. And we went through some of the baddest waves I'd ever seen. I mean, when
Mm.
you take like well, I don't know what boat we were in, 26, 28 footer, 29 foot, and it just disappears, it's just really,
Oh
really big
Lord.
stuff. And then, and then day 3, we went fishing. There's still swells everywhere. We went fishing, and the camera boat broke down, and the main boat broke down, and we had to limp on back in. Everybody's sick. They're, because they're puking overboard, and because it was so bad and rough. And we come back in. That was day 3. Day 4, we fixed everything, and day 5 we went out to film the show, and we got it in a day. So it took 5 days to do one sailfish show. Yeah.
Oh,
the life of a television star, huh?
Right.
yeah. I I want to go back to the bass stuff just because I'm a bass junkie here. So I got a couple questions. I just I like to ask. Everybody likes to talk about the accolades and stuff, but um, through your long career, you made a lot of good decisions. Obviously, is there a regret you have, like maybe an opportunity you didn't take, or a decision you made in an event that cost you and still haunts you a little bit, or anything?
There's a couple of those haunts, and I don't know if it's decisions. It's just little things that happen. I remember I was leading by a bunch for Angler of the Year, and had a dismal first day, and came back the next day and did good and good. And so now I'm back gonna win Angler of the Year, and I make a pitch with my bait, and there's a log laying like this, and my bait hits the log and skips over it, right? And I'm using like 17-pound test with a jig or with whatever. I think it was a like some type of critter bait. Anyway, and fish eats it. And I set the hook and it's around that log, and it must have hit it in a bad spot because it just went nuts and tail walked all the way to me as that line's around there, and it ended up breaking the line and costing me Angler of the Year. So yeah, there's some regrets that you have. I've had big fish that cost you the tournament and stuff, but overall, like I said, you look at it and it's like it's still an amazing career, and yeah, those things haunt you, but it is what it is. I'm okay with where I'm at in fishing,
Yeah.
and
You know you're
this
taken
is
care of.
yeah, and I'm this is my final season. I have two tournaments to go and I'm retiring. So two tournaments. I have one on the James River coming up in about a month, and then I have one at Thousand Islands in New York, which I am really looking forward to. That's one of my favorite places in the world to go. Big smallmouth. I may have to run. I really hate it. Like at Pickwick, I had plenty of fish all the way up by the dam, but it was an hour run. I didn't want to do that, and I stayed close and I made a good check, but it was one of those things that I just, as an old guy, there's things that you don't necessarily want to do if you don't have to. Well, I may have to because I want to go catch some of the big smallmouth. So anyway, but I can't think of a better place to go finish my career in New York. It's just it's real special. So I'm looking forward to that, and so when I look back over my career, it's special and it's wonderful. And I, like I said, I met wonderful people that are friends for life. I've had partners that turned into friends for life. I had, just like I said, it's a great, I meet like we're at a
Yeah.
sports show. We just, there's people that you just run into and you meet and you click and you like them and you're like, this is really cool. And so you stay friends.
Yeah.
And so that's what's special about it. I'll miss the fraternity, the family of fishing when I retire. That'll be the thing I miss the most. Won't be the tournaments and the competition and doing that. I'll miss the family. Those people are the special people. I mean, you come in and just talking to your buddies. Just man, and we talk about what we did and how we did it, and it's just, you're gonna miss that. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss.
So when you retire, you're just hanging up the tournament jersey, I would assume.
You know, I
Mm.
I might still fish some Toyota Series stuff like that, or something. Some tournaments in Florida. So, but I'm hanging up the professional side of it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not going to follow it full time. Go for the classics and things like that. The Red Crest and all. So
So what's retirement life look like for you then? You gonna go more gator hunting?
yeah.
Okay.
So I got to be friends with the nuisance gator trapper here, and what's really cool is we live capture, so we don't kill them, and so I mean we'll get, like, I tell you what, my day started out, and this was just um, Wednesday. Started out with me waking up and I get a text and it says emergency gator, e-gator, emergency gator in a lady's swimming pool. So I grabbed my grandson off across town. We go and we catch this kid, and he's a little spud. I mean, he was, like 3 foot something. Okay, but he's in her swimming pool, and she's pretty nervous about it. So we got him out, and we capture him, tape him, we throw him in a bag, and we take him to a drop off because we let him go on. Usually it's Payne's Prairie, which is a big preserve, and we let him go because anything that's under 4 feet we can let go. So we let him go there. Well, then we got a call. We have 3 out at this construction site, and the workers are worried. They don't want, you can't have a worker get bit by a gator while they're working. So, isn't it wonderful living in Florida? So anyway, we catch 3 out of that construction site, and they're all little guys. And then we get another call back around town for a giant. And I mean, so we get some strange calls about how big they are, but this one, the lady knows her stuff, and she just flat said, she said, I read up on them, and they say the biggest alligator is maybe 15 feet. That's like world record. And she said, but I'm telling you, this one, he's 20 feet. His head was right there and his tail was right there. He said, this gator is huge. And I'm like, we're like, I mean, that's like saying you're getting ready to go fish a pond that has nothing smaller than 10 pounds. Everything's 10 pounds and above.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So we're like, we are really ready to go after this guy. So we hope we get the opportunity. He wasn't around that day, but we're getting permission so that we can really get to, because when you get a tag, so when they call and they've got a gator that they're worried is going to eat their dogs, their cats, their themselves, they're just worried about this gator. They call the state. The state takes the thing, issues the permit, and sends it to wherever the county is that whoever gets it. So that's where we come in, and then we get to go do it. So you get that tag, you can only go 100 feet from that address, right? So it can only be 100 feet from that address. Well, he may roam a lot farther than 100 feet. I mean, so if it's a pond, a lake, then you hope to get people around the pond to join in because this gator's really big. He might eat your dog. And we had one we went after for over 6 months before we finally caught this 11-foot 3-inch giant behemoth of an alligator. And we had to strap him to the side of my bass boat and idle with him for 4 miles to get him in. And so and what was really funny, we called the guy at the dock and said, listen, we're going to need help because we can't, this is big, and because he weighed so much. So he had about 5 or 6 of his buddies at the dock. And when we got there, that we handed him the rope, we got a lasso around him. We got his mouth taped, but we didn't have his eyes taped. But they just assumed he was dead, and they're starting to pull the rope. And one of the guys stopped real quick. He said, he blinked. He blinked. And we're like, yeah, he's alive. He's okay. You're good. And we're like, it was so funny. But anyway, so yeah, then we taped his eyes. But anyway, so that one went to Orlando, a gator farm down in Orlando. But yes, some of them go to Gator, what is it, Gator World in Orlando. And there's places like that. One's named after my grandson down there at like Gator World. So it's fun. Yeah, we have a good time. That's what retirement is. So we get as many as 5 or 6 calls in a day.
That's
some
fun.
of them are really big, and then we have to figure out how to get them. And what's really cool, we do it rod and reel. And like I said, and we're not killing them. It's not like we're bringing them in and killing them and taking them to a processor or anything like that. But I saw a great shirt. My buddy who and see, I have tough time with names, but he's the actor that played Sling Blade and Lucas Black. So Lucas is on tour with us, and he has his deal is 77X. So if you look up 77X, that's Lucas Black. Great guy, huge Christian. Great guy. That's his ministry. But he had a shirt on, and it's the deer horns, and it goes, we do dangerous things carefully. And I'm like, that needs to be with the gator. That's for every gator trapper, every gator hunter, everybody, because it's a dangerous thing to go after gators, So anyway, I said I'm gonna have to get that thing made up in a shirt. But anyway, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Look where that pest control career took you. You can't.
I'm on big pest now.
Yeah, you can't get much better than that.
No. I mean, it really is. Like I said, we do that with rod and reel. So it's a Trocar 3/0 hook. They made it for that big spoon, that they throw on ledges, bass spoons, and it's really it's like it's small, I mean, it's tiny, and it's a 3/0. And we put 1.5 ounce tungsten underneath it, in the bottom of the treble, and I just tie it on with 80-pound braid, and we put it on this Lew's Super Duty, and put 80-pound cigar and braid in the Lew's Super Duty and this big Super Duty rod, and we hook them. And you just hook them, and and it's on, and it's like catching a 10 pounder with 8 pound test line. That's what it's like. So
Yeah.
you're fighting them around, and we had one the other day. I idled over him. So electronics are really good. Nowadays those Lowrance are less amazing that you can go across, and I go, there he is. He's on the bottom right there, 20 feet off. My grandson pitches back, so the boat's going this way, right? And he pitches back this way, and he hooks him, and the boat's going away. Well, when he hooks him, the gator goes the opposite direction, and he yells to me real quick. He says, "Gramps, you better turn around. He's going to spool me." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Well, now I'm going away. So if I give it gas to turn, it's going away from it, right? It's going to go farther because you're not going to make a quick turn, and he's going to break it off. So I slammed it in reverse and spun it. So I spun it back to the gator, so he gained just a little bit on that, and then I goosed it. Everybody's tumbling back in the boat, hanging on the boat like this, and my grandson's got his thumbs locked on the reel, and he's hanging way over the boat, and it's about to break, and then we goose it, and I catch up with him. He's like, "Oh my goodness!" He gets a couple spools back on it, and then we chase this gator down. He's like 9 something, but we got him, and
Nice.
but yeah, it's like I said, it's so much fun. I mean, we have a blast. And is it dangerous? Yes. I mean, can we lose arm, legs in life? Yes. But we try to do it as carefully as possible, and we do have a blast doing it.
So if someone like Jesse and me wanted to get involved in something like that, like, can you just book trips down there, or like,
So
is there special permits? Like, how's that work?
so with nuisance trapping, we have them pretty much all year. Okay, we don't get too many calls in the wintertime. Okay, this year we had maybe 5 in December and 3 or 4 in January, so that's really rare. Okay, but so those months are pretty much not real good. But any other month, you can come down, and you have to have an alligator trapping license, and that's a 50, I think it's $52 or $53 license that you get. It's good for a year, and you can step in the boat and help all you want. So yeah, that's other than that, now booking trips, I don't know about other nuisance guys. The nuisance trapper that I work with, he gives away a few trips a year to like CCA and things like that for you to bid on, and let's go gator hunting. And so it's really cool. So yeah, that could definitely be arranged. It's not something that we do like all the time, but yeah,
Sure.
we can definitely do that.
No, I guess I was asking more just people in general, like listeners, if they wanted to come down to Florida and
Yes,
hunt
gator
gators.
hunt.
Yeah, they do
Yes.
that for
So
sure.
what you do is at the beginning of May. So we just had it, and it started May 2nd, I think, is about when it happened. That you apply for gator tags. Now that's the gator hunting season,
Okay.
and so with the gator hunting season, you can do it the same way we do, and you can do it a couple other ways. But you're hunting if you draw a tag, and there's about 19 or 20,000 people going for about 7,000 tags. So my son has put in for 3 straight years and not drawn, and he ain't
Wow.
happy about it. And I drew this year, which is nice. So we'll have some gators to hunt. But uh, so you put in for the draw. If you draw, you pay for the tags, and you get 2 gators, and you can come down, and there's a lot of guys that will help you catch them, or like me, I'd say absolutely. I took 2 different guys, a friend of a friend and another friend that I'd met at one of the sports shows that makes baits, and he said, "Man, I want to come down and gator hunt." So he drew my local Lake Orange, and I said, "Come on, I'll take you." So I showed up with my boat, jumped, because I love gator hunting. So yeah, and I got a text the other day from a boss, one of my old bosses at another company, and his son drew what I consider the holy grail of gator gator season, and that's Okeechobee West on opening week.
Mm.
So he drew that, and he said, "You know anything about it?" And I go, "Oh yeah." That's where we hunted. We drew that tag, and we've hunted it, and it like over and over. That's our main tag we would put in for it. My son put in for it again this year, and he did not draw. But anyway, so who knows? He may invite me to go with him to help out, but I'll definitely put them on them any which way. But
Now,
so yeah,
do you guys eat those ones?
yes. So
Yeah.
during the Gator season, which is August 15th to November 1st, give or take, um, you can harvest two alligators and you can take them to the processors, and or you can process them yourself. But it's pretty hard to clean an alligator, and so I let the processors do it. And a 10 footer will get you, I don't know, 50 pounds, maybe even more of gator meat,
It's good. I know. I've had it.
and it's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it truly is. So we used to just do gator nuggets and fry them, and that's a wonderful way to eat it. But then we've grilled it, and then we found out that you could make gator parm, which is like chicken parm or whatever how they do it, and chicken parmesan, and you would pound it and then pan do it, and it's fantastic with the marinara sauce and all that. And then we got the best one. My buddy goes, man, I got this recipe for gator etouffee. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, yes. It's like, real good. So, yeah. So we have so much fun with that, not only eating it, but doing it. And that's what retirement's going to look like for me. I'll fish tournaments here and there, probably do a few local stuff, and then but I'll still go to the classic, and I'll go to Red Crest, and I'll still support the organization. And Major League Fishing is a big part of my life, so I'll do anything I can to help them out. But that's pretty much what my retirement's going to look like.
You're going to do whatever the heck you want. That's what you're going
Yeah,
to
we'll
do.
be doing a lot of YouTube stuff with that Gator,
That's cool. Yeah,
too.
that'd be
That's
big
super
time
cool.
there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. And it sounds like you get to spend some fun time with your grandson out there too. I'm sure that's a
Yes,
hoot.
yeah. I've taken my daughter, my granddaughter. She's been there to catch a couple of them. My daughter caught her first one, I don't know, last year one time. So yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Awesome.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna have to book one of them gator fishing trips. That sounds like a blast.
I'd just
Gator
like
expedition.
I we've been well. Sid tells me every year we need to go see Shoal. She's been saying that for 3 or 4 years. I need to book a Shoal trip one of these years and just I want to come down. I want to catch a gator. I want to shoot a pig, and I want to catch a bass.
There
So
you go. We can do the slam. We can even go off and do snook and redfish and add those
yeah,
in.
hey,
So
I'm down for whatever, man. We'll do it. We'll do it. It's just, geez, it is a busy phase of life right now. But
yes,
we need to quit talking about it and just come do it. We were in Orlando for gymnastics there in I think February, but there wasn't time to there there wasn't time to fish. So we
yeah,
did
I
slip in a day
understand.
at Disney, but you know how it is.
Yep, you got kids. You got to go to Disney.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We had fun now. So um, what do you think, Aaron?
Well, usually we like to just give the guests an opportunity to leave the listeners with just something, right? Um, Either a piece of advice or lesson learned in life, or and so something along those lines. And um, you've shared your faith, but what would you tell listeners just kind of either aspiring to be or take the path that you took, um, or just life in general? What would you tell our listeners right now?
Well, my faith is probably number one. Keep Jesus number one, and then put your wife and family and everything right there, because that's relationships, and family is the most important thing. So accolades and money and all the rest is just things, and you can't take things with you. But if you got a relationship with Jesus Christ, you're going to have a great gift that you can't be taken away from you. So that's something real special. If you're thinking on the fishing lines, I'd say be respectful to everybody, and and that's the same in life. There's um, I try not to ever burn a bridge or be disrespectful to anybody, no matter what. And and I think that's an important lesson to have in life is treat everybody the way you'd like to be treated, and things go better. I tell my kids, I tell my grandkids, I say, listen, you can be combative with your parents. You know how kids like to get on their grandkids get on. Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah. I said, but I tell them, I said, listen, you'll get a whole lot more with honey than you will with the vinegar stuff. That when you get mad and you get stomping at them, you don't get very far. But you be nice and you be nice to people. Things tend to come back on you that you get nice things and so, I think the whole world needs that. They need to be nice and then watch what happens.
Well, Shaw, I mean, we can't thank you enough for coming on here, and I mean, it's been a true pleasure, just hearing your stories and getting the opportunity to just kind of chat about life and gators and a little bit about bass fishing. But we definitely love to have you on and hear again and hear some stories about just fishing trips and tournaments and the ones you missed that you wish you could have got back
Oh, yeah.
and just all those good times. But thank you so much for coming on and just spending some time with us and yeah, just sharing the life stories that you have with our listeners.
Well, thank you guys. And I really appreciate you having me on and inviting me and enjoyed doing this. And yeah, I look forward to coming back.
Cool. Happy late birthday too, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm an old guy now.
Nah, you're just getting broke in.
right.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Shaw, appreciate it, buddy. It was great talking to you, and thanks a million for coming on tonight.